with, frankly, some of the world's greatest pilots as we are in our pre-race ceremonies. And as the pre-race ceremonies continue, great crowd on hand for this one. This is the opening weekend of a new era for the Pirelli World Challenge. Cal, I'm Greg Creamer, Calvin Fish, Jeff Lepper with the call for you here. It is the debut of SprintX as the top category here, and it is going to be something very special. We always want to remind everybody here on the second of the double headers at any of the Pirelli World Challenge races here on our live webcast, you're going to be eavesdropping as we build our CBS Sports Network show. So expect us to lay out a little bit, expect us to maybe repeat things on occasion to make sure we get everything we need into the CBS Sports Network show. When we do lay out, we'll try and pump the sound up for you just a little bit. And just keep that in mind. There's a look at Daniel Murad. And this is an interesting story, isn't it, Cal? Because he is starting alongside one of the best drivers in the universe in Jerome Bleekemolen in similar cars. And Daniel will start next to him in the second spot. This is an opportunity for Daniel to really show the world what this young man's capable of.
If you ever wanted the ultimate benchmark, he's sitting right beside you on the grid. Jerome Bleekemolen took over from Tim Pappas halfway through the event yesterday, laid down the race's fastest lap. That gives him pole today. Daniel Murad, I think, was on the back of Ryan Dial's fastest lap of the race that was set in the number 2 De Vilbiss car. He'll line up alongside. So you got 2 Mercedes on the front row. Young Daniel Murad, his first ride with these guys, being drafted in as Dial's regular co-pilot for the SprintX rounds. But yes, I mean, Bleekemolen is a monster in one of these cars. He knows the car extremely well. He's already has success in another championship this year with the same platform, so he is going to be the man to chase down. But remember, he can't get in too much of a fight. I'm sure from the team's perspective and Daniel's perspective, you got to think big picture. Remember, the Pro-Am car of Bleekemolen, he's going to be held stationary 30 seconds longer in the pit stop.
Yep.
And there's going to be an AM driver taking over, so he shouldn't be a factor for the win. So if he has to go, let him go. Think about the guys behind you.
Absolutely. And, of course, Murad was nothing short of sensational in winning the 24 Hours of Daytona earlier this year in a different manufacturer. And but this is a head-on showcase here in a sprint race format. Very, very special stuff. You take a look at the second row of the grid. You've got the Magnus Racing entry, Spencer Pumpelly, and the Cadillac entry, the number 8 of Jordan Taylor. And the interesting thing here is, Cal, all the pros essentially are going to be starting. So this first 25 minutes is going to be a field that is completely world class. It should, and on this track, wow.
Oh, it's going to be a fight. There's going to be some fireworks. We saw it yesterday, and then the guys who are taking over are typically the season-long pilots in pro rank. So this is going to be really fun to watch.
A lot of argy-bargy with a capital A and a
Saw
capital
it yesterday.
B, I think.
Expect the same thing. I mean, everyone's fighting hard.
Yeah, it should be really spectacular stuff. And a fantastic day. Just a little bit cooler than it was yesterday, a little bit less humidity. And it is time, though, to crank the heat up here at VIR. It is time for that most special command in motorsports. Let's get down to the front of the grid and Jeff Lepper.
Well, Rick Kulak would come here for the Nissan Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix at VIR. Very special here, especially with the return of the Nissan GTR Nismo GT3. And just a few moments away here as we give our command. So I would like to go ahead and pass it off to you and give you the command to start engines. Rick Kulak, Nissan Motorsports North American Manager.
Thanks, Jeff. On behalf of Pirelli Tire, Optima Battery, and Nissan North America, and the excellent staff here at Virginia International Raceway, start your engines.
And thank you so much to Rick Kulak, Greg Creamer, Calvin Fish. Wow, this is going to be exciting.
Boy, isn't it? Absolutely. And it's great to have that Nissan back in the field. Sorely missed them at St. Pete and Long Beach. And it's the newer model, which really gives them a pretty good weapon here, doesn't it?
It really does. 2 new cars were built up at the end of last year in preparation for the 2017 season. Unfortunately, the funding didn't come together, but great to see AIM Autosport, the always evolving group, back here this weekend. And they should be campaigning the full SprintX Championship. 2 great pilots. They had some speed here yesterday. Didn't get the result they were looking for, but could do some things today.
And let's take a look at our Porsche race analysis. Obviously, the track, 3.27 miles in distance, 17 turns. It is a track of immense challenge. There's no question about it. And a pleasant day to go racing, but it will be fierce and warm inside of those cars. There's no question about that. And we do want to make note of our Motul Pole Award winner of the overall pole and the GT Pro pole, if you will. We talked about him, Jerome Bleekemolen. The guy is just magic, a wickedly quick time here. And we're looking at it. There is our ATSV pace car, and pretty special as well, and a great relationship with Cadillac. And of course, I said it was a pro pole. It was a Pro-Am pole, which makes it all the more spectacular. So your pro pole winner would have been Ryan Dial and Daniel Murad in that beautiful orange CRP Racing de Vilbus Mercedes. We're going to step away. When we come back, we will go racing with the second ever GT SprintX race in Pirelli World Challenge history. All right, folks, while we're laying out, we will be coming back somewhere as we head down the back straight here to start setting up the start of this race for our CBS Sports Network show. Boy, what an amazing field this is. And you've got some drivers and teams that had some issues in yesterday's race in terms of mechanical problems or contact or the like that really are hurting for points. So I think there's going to be some even more earnestness in some of these races today.
Well, case in point, Alvaro Parent came in with the championship lead. The McLarens didn't qualify well. Back on the 5th row of the grid with Alvaro and Brian Sellers, and Alvaro got involved in the first lap. Major damage to the left rear corner. Got out there, set a good lap time to put the car 3rd row of the grid. You can see it there. 6th car in line right now, and it's going to be Ben Barnicoat, his English teammate, who's going to be taking the green flag here this afternoon. They need to make something happen. Doesn't look like Brent got any points from yesterday, and that's a big hurt in the championship.
And again, a lot of pressure for a young man, relatively new as a McLaren factory driver for Ben Barnicoat. But opportunity for them to showcase, and they're chosen because they've got skills. It's not like it's just well, we're just a random guy here. So we'll see what he's able to do. We're going to pause. We'll be right back on CBS. Welcome back to Virginia International Raceway for the Nissan Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix at VIR. The field on that long back straight on Madison Avenue, and you see the lights out on the pace car. It is making it its escape. We are getting ready to head into the VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone. There is the Cadillac Escalade, our official safety vehicle. Big thanks to Cadillac, as always. And this field is spectacular. And Cal, they are heading into the roller coaster. This track's so loaded with absolutely amazing corners and elevation changes, and now they need to start obviously forming up. Let's take a look at our quad box featuring really some great looks from Replay XD cameras. They are superb, and you're going to see a lot of it today. Here's just a few of the examples you might be able to enjoy into the last turn, Cal, and starting to set up into the VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone.
Yeah, and this is going to be interesting. Morad on the outside of the front row. Look for Pompelli on the inside of the 2nd row there to try and make a move down into turn 1.
And there's a long run up to the start stand, but looks like we are racing at VIR. Green flag is out, and a good side-by-side run. Daniel Murad doing a nice job, not getting snookered at all by the very veteran Bleekemolen, and Murad works the outside. Cal, is he going to pull this off?
This is awesome stuff. Young Daniel Murad making a statement early against one of the best in the business. The Mercedes goes side-by-side through turn 2. Bleekemolen peeks to the inside.
He peeked, and did you see Murad just cover that? A beautiful exit. Again, a look by Bleekemolen.
Look at Jordan Taylor. Great opening lap here in the number 8, the blue Cadillac. He's putting the pressure on Bleekemolen.
And that, too, a car that needs a really, really strong run here, obviously. They had some mechanical problems. Got it going and actually salvaged an impressive finish.
Barnico,
got a good time.
Barnico's had a good first lap as well.
That's what we were talking about, this opportunity for some of these young drivers to really show something here. And Spencer Pumpelly dropped back a spot, but right there in that number 4 Magnus Audi.
Yeah, I thought he was going to try and make a move on the inside of Murad if Bleekemolen could have opened the door. That did not happen, and Jordan Taylor taking advantage here. Things settling down. These Pirelli Pier Zeros now coming into their sweet spot. Brilliant opening lap by Daniel Murad, hanging on to the lead here.
Just incredible. Watch that blue Porsche, the number 14 Global Motorsports Group car right there. That is Lorenz Venturi. He was wickedly quick yesterday. Bleekemolen just showing the nose a little bit. Venturi mega aggressive, and we'll see what he's going to try and pull off here on Barnico.
Well, I think the thing for Daniel Murad, if Bleekemolen gets too racy, he should let him go. Remember, Bleekemolen's in a Pro-Am lineup. That means their pit stop turnover time should be 30 seconds longer than the Pro division, so that should give him the position, even if he rolls into pit lane behind him.
Seeing these two Mercedes running 1-2, the thing that impresses me about this car, just from visually watching it, Cal, is it seems to be able to maintain its platform and still have a tremendous amount of compliancy in that suspension.
And it's really good under the braking. It has no flaws in that car, and that's what you need around this racetrack. This first sector here, Greg, very technical. You need good mechanical grip to make the car work through here and be effective. And then when you get through turn 5, through the snake, then it's all about downforce up through the climbing S's, and then you need compliancy over the curbs in the final sector as well.
And that's one of the things, as this car gets up into speed and really gets into the aero aids on the car, it works.
It really does. And the one thing that we may be seeing here is Bleekemolen is maybe struggling a little bit in the wake of the car in front of him. These GT3 cars are so aero dependent. They punch a big hole in the air with that massive rear wing, and it's hard for the guy following to really get the frontal downforce on his car.
When that happens, you start to just get an aero push, right? And then that sort of dominoes through the tires.
And they are a fresh set of Pirelli P0s. Remember, you qualify and start for race 1 on the same set. Fresh rubber right now. Daniel Murad is enjoying the speed and the pace of those Pirelli P0s. Things settling down. Barnico there in the bright yellow and black. K-Pex McLaren sits there in the 5th spot. Alvaro Brent will take over from him as Bleekemolen now flashing his lights, trying to get the attention of the young Canadian.
And keep in mind, we've got a number of different categories. Pro-Am, Pro, which you see right in these top 2 cars. It is the Pro car leading right now from the Pro-Am. We also have an Am category, and currently that is being led by Martin Fuentes, the GT8 champion, runaway champion from last year in the number 7 Hublot Ferrari. So they're having a good early start to this. In GT Cup, it is the number 55 Lamborghini from Dream Racing in the hands of Alexandre Bressan that is leading in that category right now. And in GTS, Trent Hindman in the 017 Porsche leading that category. But all attention right now, right at the front here, and this train.
Venturi, you see there in the bright blue and white GMG Porsche, starting to put the pressure on. Trying to make some moves there as he tries to make some ground. Shared the car with James Safronis. Got the GTA. Got the Pro-Am win yesterday.
There's a look at our Optima Batteries Best Start Award winner. That's the number 75, always evolving AIM Autosport. Nissan doing a great job, up 4 spots on that opening lap. So a great run for them in the early going. And that's what they really needed, wasn't it? And young Ricardo Sanchez doing a nice job.
Yeah, I spoke with him this morning. He said, I love this racetrack. It is awesome. But he said, it is dangerous. It is so high speed up through this section. He said, you drop a wheel, there's a little drop off there. You go for quite the ride. But he said, I love it. I want to race here in America more. And this is a very impressive debut for that young man.
even though we haven't had a lot of rain in the last couple of days, this track's still saturated when you get off into the grass and the soil underneath it, and all of the runoff slopes downward without any gravel, without any paved runoff area. So you've got to be incredibly precise as you negotiate this 3.27-mile ribbon that is so spectacular here in Southern Virginia. We'll be right back. Now, a relatively short break as we build the CBS Sports Network show. Back with you here, and Bleekemolen just heaping the pressure on here, and watching it going back just a little bit in the order. Just wanted to update you on a couple of things. The number 61, that is the Risi Competizione, or excuse me, the R Ferry Motorsports Ferrari, excuse me, sits in the 7th spot overall, 5th in the pro category at this stage. The Ferrari from TR3 Racing, the 31 of Andrea Montermini, sits in the 8th spot right now, and that's 6th in the pro category. And an interesting development, the 82, Andrew Davis and Mike McCann not feeling well this weekend. It was supposed to be a Pro-Am entry with Mike and the other co-driver, Mike Skeen, and they had to draft in Andrew Davis, and of course that immediately promoted it up into a pro car, and it sat on the pole for yesterday's race.
Yeah, and finished second on the road. We're still waiting for some post-race evaluation with that pit lane delta issue that we had yesterday, but certainly it was a great podium run for Andrew Davis and Mike Skeen. And Andrew, who's behind the wheel right now, certainly has a lot of experience with this Audi platform, but on a different tire, so he had to adapt as quickly as he could and maximize the grip from these tires.
And of course, right behind him, Jorg Bergmeister, in that reunion with he and Pat Long in that 58 Wright Motorsports Porsche. And Jorg,
got a draft.
Yeah, he sure
got
does.
A draft. He is sniffing. He is looking to the inside.
Right behind him, the the Pro-Am car, the number 16 of Jan Halen and Johnny O'Connell, having a bit of a battle as well in that red Velocity red Cadillac. We're going to pause. We'll be right back for our CBS Sports coverage. Welcome back, everybody. Fierce battling throughout the field here at the Nissan Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix at Virginia International Raceway. The battle for 9th overall right now, 7th in the pro category. Andrew Davis
to the inside. That was tight there down into turn 1. Andrew Davis just hangs on to that 7th spot, but Bergmeister is putting the heat on.
Jorg Bergmeister reunited with Pat Long, and they are racy in the early going here in Andrew Davis, obviously being drafted in to replace a not feeling well and ill Mike McCann, and bumping that car up into the pro category, if you will, and under some serious heat right now here at VIR. And the team car right behind him, Jan Halen in the number 16, he shares with Mike Shine, having a good run in the early going, keeping no less a driver than Johnny O'Connell in the Cadillac at bay.
Yeah, this is just fascinating to see this mix of drivers and classes all running together here at the beginning of the second race of this weekend. But certainly Andrew Davis doing a great job. They finished on the podium here yesterday. Andrew Davis having to adapt to this tire. He's got a lot of experience with this Audi platform, but got drafted in at the last moment. He said, I just got to get used to it. But Skeen certainly laid a marker down yesterday in qualifying with the pole position.
Yeah, an absolutely fabulous run. And behind Johnny O'Connell right now, Alec Udell, the number 77 Calvert Dynamics GMG Motorsports Porsche, again in a Pro-Am car situation, that black and yellow Porsche, just a little bit behind this great battle here, having a solid run as well. And he was very impressive. He was a lap down right behind the 2 leaders in yesterday's race. Alec Udell lost absolutely nothing to them. And obviously he's got to run hard, because he's going to be turning it over to the AM part of that equation at the pit stop.
He's got a veteran right behind him in Marco Seafried, teaming up with John Potter here in the Pro-Am class. So there is not a weak link in this field. If you look up and down, there are great battles going on. This is what SprintX is all about.
Absolutely. The Clemson University mechanical engineering student dancing it into turn 1, the horseshoe here, working his way around. And again, Marco Seafried, boy, what an experienced veteran, is on his 6th.
Yes, so much experience, so much success with the Magnus Racing team over the years in some of the big endurance races. But up front, it's still Mercedes. It's a Mercedes battle as the Canadian Daniel Morad hangs on to that lead, and he's doing a great job. Bleekemolen is looking He is just searching for a way through, but right now, Daniel Moore has not put a foot wrong.
Boy, hugely impressed with the drive that Daniel has right now.
The car is hooked up.
Isn't it, though?
Really walks well through that really quick sequence of turns there, hitting his marks perfectly.
Yeah, talking to Ryan Dial, he said, we've kind of been chasing it a little bit. It's a new car to the team, and they've been looking at it. And he said literally right before qualifying, they made a change, and he said it was like it was a brand new car. And he said that was the one element we were missing. Bleekemolen this time a little closer, but not enough. And he is just trying to annoy Daniel Morad into an error.
He is, but right now, Daniel Morad is holding firm. This is where he tries to get closer, but this is where that aero rush will be hurting him a little bit, trying to get onto this front straightaway. It's a pretty high-speed corner. You can see he can't get real close to him. Actually tries to tuck the nose inside, trying to get some air to that right front dive plane.
Well, the last lap, Bleekemolen said fast lap of the race. Let's see what happens here. It was a 1:44.533. A little bit quicker, and he lowers it, a 1:44.469.
Morad's within a tenth of that, but the gap is definitely a little bit closer, as you can see right there. This is great racing. And again, Daniel Morad has to think big picture. If Bleekemolen really starts to charge and start to get down to the inside, he's got to think about the overall win here today. That will come their way if they have a good, clean race.
And as we're watching that battle at the front, you saw a glimmer of that beautiful Vector Blue Cadillac. Let's get an update from Jeff in the Cadillac pits.
You attempted to start the race yesterday, had a battery failure, but recovered. Tell us what we're looking for today.
Well, first of all, incredible job by these Cadillac racing guys to get the battery changed so quickly and get us back out in the lead lap so we can finish in third position in Pro. I think you look for another exciting race. The pit stops are going to be crucial today, as they were yesterday. So, you got to watch the pit stops. Is really where the times we won and lost here.
Now, the difference between you and Ricky, is there, Jordan, is there any difference in strategy here? Are you going to pit early, pit late? Do you know yet?
Not time-wise between us. Our strategy is probably going to be based off when some of the other pro and AM guys get in. When we want to take the most advantage of the AM guys being in the car. So we'll see based on that. I can't tell you too much.
Always a secret down here at Cadillac Racing, but awesome run for Michael Cooper and Jordan Taylor.
Yeah, Jordan having a solid race right now, sitting in third. And obviously a factory driver for GM and Cadillac. It got drafted in.
I think, coming out of Oak Tree. Slow car on the right-hand side of the straightaway right now.
Boy, yep. Wonder if that's the M1 GT AM car. Or is that the 82? That's the car of Andrew Davis. Yeah.
So there was a battle, a fierce battle between he and Bergmeister. Not sure if Andrew has been for a ride. He had a little flag out there momentarily down through the roller coaster.
Yeah, he's dropped well back. I think he's dropped deep into the top 20 at this stage. So problems for Andrew Davis.
Well, Bergmeister's dropped as well.
Yeah.
But I've got a feeling that those two must have been involved in an incident, because Bergmeister's further down the pack.
And we'll see if we can suss that out here as some great action continues here at Virginia International Raceway as part of the Nissan Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix at VIR. Yellow there at bottom of the roller coaster. Not exactly sure why. Well, it was actually not quite at the bottom.
Possibly.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That would cars out there.
Probably have been turn 16, because you see the green flag, which always waves after whatever the issue is. It's kind of interesting to figure out what may have evolved there and happened with the Audi and the Porsche potentially. Now these guys up front, Daniel Morad going to get his first taste of needing to deal with a little bit of traffic.
Yeah, and that may be the opportunity for Jerome Bleekemolen to take advantage of that. It's all about just the luck of the draw. We saw it yesterday. Affected some cars. Mike Skeen was about to pit from the lead when he got involved with some traffic going up through the S's. But you can't just hit the disappear button. Yeah. Bleekemolen, he is looking racy.
Well, I tell you, Cameron Castles just did a fabulous job. Tightened his exit up. Let those two Mercedes just go flowing right on by. I don't think it really impeded either of them at this point. And yeah, whenever you look in the mirror and you see Bleekemolen, I think you hear Jaws music in your head. The guy is just something.
But can't say enough about the performance of Daniel Morad.
Totally.
We said before the off, this is the ultimate litmus test in terms of where you're at in terms of speed. He has nowhere near the experience of Jerome Bleekemolen in one of these cars, let alone GT3 racing in general. For him to be leading this guy, even though he's under pressure, is just an amazing performance. There's been a lot said about this young man over the years. He seemed like he'd slipped through the net and was going to just disappear from racing, but has hung in there, and this year has really got some great opportunities, and he's taken them both with big hands.
A superb drive by Daniel Morad as he negotiates traffic and gives up nothing to one of the best in the business, Jerome Bleekemolen. Again, flashing the lights into turn 14, a very tricky braking zone here at the Nissan Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix at VIR. Wow, Daniel Morad is absolutely in stunning form.
I can't put it into perspective enough, Greg, just how impressive this performance is, because he has nowhere near the experience of the man right behind him in this type of car, let alone GT3 racing in general. So him to be leading Bleekemolen, one of the top guys in the world. A little bit of damage here on the 88 car. I think they've had a little bit of argy-bargy.
Yeah, it was to be expected here. It looks like it's just sort of the frame around that front grille section, so other than being maybe an annoyance to the driver, it shouldn't be any big issue at this stage.
Adley Fong behind the wheel, sure, with another great Bentley factory driver, Vincent Abril.
Oh no, Alec Udell having a moment, and this is what we were talking about with the slope down the hill and the soggy ground. When it gets away from you, you just keep going until you hit something.
You go for a big ride, comes up out of the window. But he's probably not going to be able to get that car moving without an assist. We'll have to wait and see what that does. Look at the time on the clock here.
Yeah, and he was in a pretty fierce battle, if you remember, with Marco Seefried and a couple others. So you wonder, I mean, you know, this track, with all these twisty bits and such high speed, not always the easiest place to pass on.
17 minutes into this race, Greg, so we're not into that pit stop window yet. That has to happen between the 25 and 35 minute mark, your mandatory pit stop, where you have to do your driver change. Traffic always such a factor there through the S's. All of these guys hitting that traffic in just the right spot. Team Fuentes is having a nice run here this afternoon.
Isn't he? He has just worked his way up now into the top 20, leading in the GT-AM category and running with guy with a fair amount of experience in racing around the world here, Stefan Johansson.
Yes.
It's weird to call that an AM program, but because of Stefan's age, he's actually rated as an AM nowadays.
Brilliant F1 career. One at Sebring overall, one Le Mans. Back when Tom Christensen got his very first victory, teamed with Michele Alboreto, one of the all-time greats.
Meanwhile, watching this continuing battle here with the number 3 of the beautiful red Cadillac at this stage, and just not able at this point to quite stay with the Porsche up in front.
Ricky Taylor behind the wheel, sharing that car with the regular pilot of the Velocity Red, Mr. Red himself, Johnny O. But up front, the two Mercs continue to go hard at it, trading fastest laps.
They really are right now in just a little bit of a different league. I mean, the last laps, both 145.2s.
They've done a 44.3 apiece, which is about 3/4 of a second clear of the rest of the field.
But they're just consistently, what, 2/10 a lap quicker than anybody else here. And they're just slowly stretching that margin now up to about 4 seconds back to the number 8 Cadillac, excuse me.
What you can expect to see here is that Jerome Bleekemolen will try and exhaust that 35-minute drive time to its max to have your fastest pilot in the car. No disrespect to Tim Pappas, but he's not going to pedal this machine like Jerome is. You can expect Daniel Morad maybe to play a slightly different strategy. Ryan Dial is going to be jumping into that machine, so really the number 2 team just have to play off the pro class cars in terms of what they're doing versus thinking about Bleekemolen. He's going to lose 30 seconds over the pro field just because of the regulations. It's basically a 60-second total pit lane delta for the pro machines, Greg, and 90 seconds for everyone else as we see the course go full course yellow for that incident with Alec Udell stuck on the side of the road. Yeah,
it's just so tough to be able to make that extraction. And so anybody who'd built up a little margin, it is going to evaporate, and that is going to bring certainly the Cadillacs and the Audis right back up to the back of those Mercedes, and that's a sad sight to see. And the problem is even if that car is not damaged, if it's just into those barriers a little bit, and I know I'm just beating a dead horse here, but that ground is so wet and soggy that you just can't drive away from it, and that might be part
to run
of
uphill on ice. You just don't make any ground.
Exactly, especially with a hot slick that offers up absolutely no grip. So the Cadillac ATSV pace car out at this stage, Cal, and of course that pit window opens at 25 minutes into the race, so 35-minute countdown, if you will, and it's going to be interesting to see.
Which could be close to when we get back to green. We could suddenly see guys flying into pit lane. They got just under 5 minutes to go. The leader has to see that board first when pit lane is open, and they'll bring that board out at the start-finish line when they anticipate that the leader will then hit the 25-minute mark on that next lap. So that's the ruling there. Leader has to see it first, and everyone after that lap has the opportunity to pit. And your pit stop has to be, you have to be in pit lane, not completed, but in pit lane by the 35-minute mark in this race. Cannot afford to get that wrong without a huge penalty.
Yep, driver change, no tires, no fuel, just a driver change. And then back out and into the fray. As you were talking about, Cal, it presents strategy scenarios here with the pros and the pro-ams. The pro-ams yesterday benefited from a caution after the pit stop that got the pros nice and close. But as you said here, I would think we might see the pro cars pit early, and we might see the pro-am cars, as you said, wait and keep that fast guy in as long as they possibly can. So under caution, we're going to take a break here as well from the Nissan Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix at Virginia International Raceway. Well, it's an interesting scenario here as we're in break with our CBS Sports coverage. Back with you here on the web, and thank you very much for joining us, by the way. Cal, when you get a yellow this close to the pit window, it's an option whether they delay the pit window or whether they open it here. What are you thinking?
Well, I would think that they'll probably open it at 25 minutes. Everyone's on the same game here. There should be no advantage either way. And as you would expect, you'd get those pro cars in and get that pit stop done. And even for the Pro-Am cars, thinking about it, Greg, okay, you can keep your fast guy in for 10 minutes longer, but you're then going to be making a potential green flag stop.
Yep.
That loses you a lot of ground. So that's the real dilemma for the Pro-Am combinations. Do we keep our fast guy in? He's got a bit more time on the clock, but then your pit stop, you're going to lose a lot more when guys are at green flag speed.
Right, and it's not like you're going to benefit from having the fast guy in the car under caution anyway. That makes perfect sense. All right, we're going to be coming back with our CBS Sports Network coverage in just a sec. Hang with us. We continue under caution here at Virginia International Raceway as the field making its way behind the ATSV pace car while they are doing the extraction of the number 77 Calvert Dynamics Global Motorsports Group Porsche of Alec Udell that had that off. And we are fast approaching the pit window. The question is, when will it open? You can see some of the co-drivers starting to kit up and getting ready to get in that car, Cal.
Yeah, and thinking this through, typically in the Pro-Am rank, guys like Bleekemolen, you'd keep those guys in for 10 minutes longer. The trouble is if you do that and the Pro cars come in, they're going to be doing their pit stop under yellow. The time loss is a lot less, of course, when you're doing it under yellow. Okay, you keep your fast guy in, but then you're going to be doing a green flag pit stop. So I wouldn't be surprised as soon as this pit window opens to see the majority of the cars hitting pit lane, getting that driver change done. We're understanding that the pit lane window is not open yet, and they have to see that board displayed on the racetrack and come in the following lap. So even if we stay under caution, it's going to be a full lap and a half here before the guys are hitting pit lane. So it will not be next time by the pit lane. It would have to be the lap after that.
Boy, and that's why the guys on the strategists on top of the pit box earn the big money, doesn't it? Because if they decide to delay the pit window opening, you got to make that immediate decision. Are we going to pit or are we going to stay out if we go back to green, especially for the Pro-Am guys, as you said? So, and we're getting word now from race control, we will go green before the pit window opens. So that's going to affect exactly what we were talking about. In that scenario, I think the Pro-Am guys, they'd leave the Pro in the car for a while.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, if we're going to go green first, yeah, leave him in. Let him try and gap the field a little bit. But I think certainly it's too much of a roll of the dice for the guys who have good track position at least. If you're at the front of this pack, you really have to come in if you're in the Pro ranks. So again, these SprintX regulations are very new to everyone, and identifying this type of scenarios. Talked a lot about this weekend. If we did see a full caution period during this pit lane window, and the steward said we want to stay flexible on that and read the situation at the time and see what decision we're going to make. Peter Roberts is the chief steward here this weekend. He's elected to go green flag racing first and then probably show pit lane open at the very same time.
It's going to be interesting to see just how that plays out. And you can see it's just taking longer than normal to get that 77 Porsche up onto that tilt bed. And now they've at least got the nose up. Once they get it up and on there, it should be fairly quickly that they can get it moved and into a safe location. All of the safety vehicles looking like they're queuing up to make their exit here. So hopefully this will happen quickly.
And the other thing they're going to have to do is to shift the whole window. Yes. They're not just going to minimize it, so after 35 you got to be in. I would imagine they'll keep that 10-minute window, but slide it.
Yeah, which is going to be interesting here, and especially assuming that the Pro-Ams leave the Pro-In, that's going to be a real nice benefit for them because it shortens up the time the quote-unquote slower guys in the car.
Right. Yeah, great point. Yeah, it really does. But again, the key is communication, making sure all of the teams are on the same page to know exactly where that new timeline exists and not running afoul of the regulations.
And the pace car.
You thought racing was easy.
Oh, yeah, no kidding here. That's what makes this so fascinating. I've often said it. We have multi-class racing, whether it's endurance or the exciting sprint format. It's high-speed chess. And that's what makes it. We're getting a report now. It'll be one more lap of caution and then green. And then we would think right after that they would open those pits up. So while we're under caution here, we're going to take the opportunity to get a breakout so we can come back and cover all the pit action for you as it unfolds here at Virginia International Raceway. So we're anticipating, as we said, this lap and then a green, and you would think then the very next lap, Cal, they would have that open and we would get this done and get that pit sequencing out of the way.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see I think all of the guys with good track position in Pro class will come.
Right.
You may get some other guys think, I can get a good clean lap in here. I've got no traffic in front of me. Try and maximize that. Pit lane will be a little emptier, not as much traffic if you come in one lap later.
Right. And we're getting some reports from the pits and the team of Alec Udell that there may have been a little bit of contact, and that's what got him off. Yeah, there's damage to that left rear corner, but that may have been from the impact into the barriers. But there are reports that he got some help in exiting the track. I'm sure they are frustrated.
Doesn't make many mistakes.
No, he doesn't.
He was in a fierce battle there. I know that Seafried was right around him. I think he was sandwiched between Bergmeister and Seafried for a period. So don't want to point any fingers yet, but there is a chance that you got a little bit of help. It doesn't take much. Once you're on the grass, even a car width, you're just along for the ride. Well,
in a way, I mean, this week in particular, this track is always treacherous because we talked about, because it's a motorsports resort, they don't have a lot of the gravel or the paved runoff areas here. And what that does generally makes this track one where it's almost like driving a road course, street course, where you just can't drop a tire here. Then you add the weather and the water that we've had, that just exaggerates everything.
Oh, it's high-speed stakes right here. I mean, up through those S's, you're just trying to stay on top of that ribbon of road at the best of times. And then particularly with the touring cars running here, Greg, they can get away with a little bit more. They can drop wheels, so on the exit, some of these high-speed corners, they can afford to get a little bit off. But for these GT3 machineries, they get off in that. Suddenly they lose their front aero. They're going for a ride.
No question. By the way, just want to update you in the Pro-Am category. We know that the number 54 of Lieke, Mullen, and Papp is currently leading that category, running second overall in the Black Swan Mercedes. Second is the Global Motorsports Group Porsche. Lawrence Vantour behind the wheel. He'll turn it over to James Safronis, running sixth overall right now. Second in the Pro-Am category. Third is the 16 Wright Motorsports Porsche in the hands of Jan Halen. He'll be turning over to Mike Shine. And then we go back and take a look at our amateur category leader. Continues to be Martin Fuentes, who will be turning over to Stefan Johansson in the number 7 Hublot Ferrari. Second in that category is the number 30 Momo NGT Ferrari of Enrique Cisneros. We're going to pause for a moment. We'll be right back. As the Cadillac ATS-V crests the hill on Madison Avenue, as they call it here, the lights are out. We are going green this time. The Cadillac makes its escape. And as the cars get down to the bottom of the roller coaster, they'll be in that VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone and working furiously and making sure those tires are scrubbed and clean.
Yeah, this is going to be crucial here, just to make sure that you didn't pick up any rubber with these hot Pirelli P0s. Daniel Morad will let that safety car get well out of the way, and then he's going to try and just get a good clean run off a hog pen, the final corner on this 17-turn racetrack. Here he goes.
Yeah, he gave it a little welly early in that VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone and timed it to perfection. Jerome was
who's the veteran here?
Wow, what a restart by Daniel Morad.
Superb job. Left Jerome sleeping a little bit there. He just took off on him. Jordan Taylor gives chase on Bleekemolen, and there's now Barnicoat looks to the inside of Pumpelli. Lorenz Vantour right there. Then the two Ferraris. That's Marcelli and Montermini, who won on the road yesterday.
Some fabulous stuff here. We'll let you know. We anticipate we'll probably have to go. We'll see that board. I'm thinking, this is total speculation this time. So by rule, everybody has to see that board at start-finish on track, and then they can come in and do their stop. So we'll see exactly. Okay, the board was displayed with the green.
Morad can pit if he wants to. Anyone can pit right now. Anyone in this field is eligible to pit. The pit lane window is now open.
And you would think.
Well, I tell you what, Greg, I'm thinking about this. Yeah, because what you don't want to do is to pit and then come out in the middle of the pack. So Nick Short and CRP may determine to keep Daniel Morad a couple of laps. Oh, one of the Magnus cars in trouble.
That's the number 44, Seafried.
See, maybe he was involved with Alec Udell, and now the bodywork has just come adrift. Hypothetical at this stage. They were in a battle.
Yep, the way that's popped up, obviously he's got huge visibility concerns at this point. Morad is able to hang on to that margin here.
Yeah, a lot to think about, because when you're the leader, you don't know what everyone else is going to do. Nick Short leading this team may decide just to keep Daniel Morad a little bit longer. He's got the lead of this race. If he can gap it and create a bit more of a cushion, it allows the pit stop to go a little bit smoother. What you don't want to do is pit, everyone else stays out, and then you come out mired in the pack and lose a lot of time. He's staying out.
He's staying out, and I'll tell you what.
Cadillac's gone.
Cadillac's in, yep. The McLaren's in, and the number 4 Audi from Magnus is in. The 31 Ferrari in, but the 61 Ferrari stays out. I'll tell you something, getting back to Daniel Morad real quick, when you got Ryan Dial waiting to get in the car and you leave Daniel Morad in it, they've got confidence in that young man. Here are the stops.
That's the statement, but I think Morad needs to come in this next lap. He can't afford to roll the dice too long. That's Michael Cooper hopping over the wall, taking over from JT, Jordan Taylor. Johnny O'Connell on the run there. He's going to take over from Jordan's brother. That's Ricky hopping out of the 3 Velocity Red Cadillac.
And it's interesting just to make sure they get these driver changes done as fast as possible.
But not too quick.
Yeah, certainly for Jordan Taylor, he needs a seat insert when he runs, and he just has stuffed it down inside of his overalls to save.
As we call it.
Saves a second, and that can be everything in these stops. But, boy, you know, every team here, you can see the stopwatch right above them. It's furious. Meanwhile, let's get down to Jeff in the K-Pax pits.
Well, Brian Sellers in on his number 6 McLaren. The driver change with Alvaro Prin, the number 9. They just released him. Gets right in front of Michael Cooper as they exit the pit lane. TR3 Motorsports, they're done. Daniel Mancinelli is in. Johnny O'Connell leaves pit lane. All the pros coming back in here for hot and heavy out of the pit lane.
Oh, boy, isn't it? And those stopwatches are working furiously here. And look at this
This is Parent on Caffer. Fresh drivers, they're going hard at it up through turn 2. This is the area of the track yesterday that Brent got in trouble.
A little bit more circumspect that time, and Cooper right there as well.
Brent and Cooper together, imagine that.
Yeah.
Haven't seen that in the past 15 months.
Yeah, oh boy, I'll tell you, this is some good stuff. And Caffer,
well, he had a fast car yesterday.
Sure
had a clash with Mancinelli.
That's getting a report that Jörg Bergmeister may have, can't imagine what that would have been for. It drove through pit lane but did not stop.
Unless Pat Lang wasn't in the pit box, I can't imagine that being the case, but something was amiss with the communication.
Yeah. Oh, Brent has to defend just a little bit into Oak Tree.
Oh, he looks to the inside. He was thinking about it as the language was there. I think Brent saw it. Nice lap here from Caffer.
Yeah, sure is.
Extending the gap. The McLarens have not been the fastest cars here this weekend by a long shot. They thought it would suit their cars, certainly through the high-speed sections, but down these straightaways, they're about 3 to 4 miles an hour off the quickest cars.
Down to that little dip, then into the left-hander. It's a little kink that sets you up into turn 14. There's a reason we had that as our braking zone of note. It's because that's a tricky piece of track. The 61, our Ferry Motorsports car is in, and in front comes the 58. And Pat Long up and over the wall, ready to get on board. Jeff is there.
Yeah, George Bergmeister comes out. Patrick Long going to adjust the seat. Obviously, the height difference between these two drivers. He moves that seat forward. Bergmeister helping him with the belts there. Patrick Long wants to get out right in the 30-minute mark. They stop the car. They jack it up just to let the tires cool off a little bit. Patrick Long get those belts on and back underway.
And Jeff, there's damage to the left rear corner of that Porsche. And that may have something to do with their traverse down pit lane. Jörg Bergmeister shaking his head, upset as he gets out of that car. Not sure what happened on that, but this is a team that is an absolute front runner throughout the season, and that's a huge development.
It is, and we just need official confirmation that that's his second time down pit road. We understand he rolled through on the previous lap and didn't stop in his pit box, so something was amiss. And that's for Pat Long, who's very much in the mix for this championship this season. He can't afford to have bad weekends. Now you see Alvaro Parent has really got into his groove. He's found the rhythm and has closed that gap on Pierre Caffer. Up front, Daniel Morad continues to lead. So they feel they've got a quick guy in the car. They're extending that window as far as they possibly can.
It'll be interesting, at what point do they take it right to the edge and live on the edge a little bit? Or do they come in with a lap to spare just to be sure? Again, this is just an immense bit of strategy that you have to continue to play here.
Well, you can't afford to catch a yellow, so yes. I don't see rolling the dice any further than this, Greg, because if you get a yellow, suddenly you haven't made your pit stop and the rest of the field is right up there with you. You are really playing it hairy, scary stuff with your strategy when you keep them that much longer.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking here. After everybody else that are contenders have pitted, you don't want to be caught out here at this stage.
If it works for you and there's not a yellow, he's in clean air, he's running down fast lap times. That should put them in great shape, but it can so easily go wrong, as we see in all forms of competition, by rolling that dice a little too much for down the road.
And boy, these Mercedes just, at this track at least, they are in their own zone. It'll be interesting to see, because they do a track BOP here. They have different, what they call divisions or styles of track. And clearly the Mercedes is working awfully good here at VIR.
And we're trying to get official confirmation on when that pit lane window closes. Okay, here we go. We talked about it. You can't roll the dice no further. CRP, bring him in from the lead. Hard on the brakes. 35 miles an hour is the maximum speed limit down pit lane. Then it's all about spending 60 seconds at least on pit lane. We saw some people run afoul of it yesterday. You got to be on pit lane, including this driver change for 60 seconds. Great stint by Daniel Morad. Jeff's there.
Daniel Morad brings that DeVilbiss Mercedes right down here on pit lane. Calm and usual. Ryan Dial hopping in. 30-second pit delta for these drivers, so no real rush. They're checking some air pressures. The car looks beautiful, untouched. Like Calvin said, a beautiful stint by Daniel Morad, but Ryan Dial razzle-dazzle going in.
Well, I'll tell you, strength to strength. Daniel Morad has just shown the world what he's capable of, and the world knows already what a former class winner at Le Mans in the 24 hours is capable of in Ryan Dial. It's like a little pressure adjustment on the tires. They have time to do that, and now it's just, all right, time it, and then the release.
Yeah, key is, I'm looking at a lot of these pit stops. Most of the front runners did their pit stop with about a 62-second pit lane delta, which gets them out of the 60-second range, is what you have to do. Now let's wait on the number 2 car, see what he comes up with. 102.2, so yeah, exactly the same as everyone else. Everyone else giving themselves about a 2 seconds buffer after the penalties yesterday. That was a clean start, and it works.
Well executed, so now it's Jerome Bleekemolen, the Pro-Am category leader, still out on track. He'll be making his stop and turning over to Tim Pappas in very short order. We're going to step away, so when they complete the stops and timing cycles, we will have a race to the finish here at VIR. All right, folks, with you here on the web. Wow, just interesting. Dying to know what may have happened to that 58 Porsche of Jörg Bergmeister, because that has huge implications for the season here, certainly.
Yeah, after Perent's bad day yesterday, it looks like Pat Long's going to follow up with a bad one here today. Perent sits in the top 6 right now, which will actually he'll move up from there. I think after this completion of pit stops, we've still got a couple of the guys in the top 5 still haven't hit pit lane, including the leader, Bleekemolen. Fuentes hasn't pitted yet.
Well, I can't say enough about the drive that Daniel Morad put in. Just wonderful stuff. And Ryan Dial in it now. And, of course, with the stop, some of the drivers that have not yet pitted, we see on our scoring, obviously, like Martin Fuentes, the AM category leader, up to 2nd overall behind Bleekemolen, a number of seconds back. But that's just because everybody else in front of him has pitted here. And, of course, then they'll be turning over to Stefan Johansson. Look at this scrum here. Perent.
Wow.
Oh, man, that is fierce stuff.
That is amazing. Look at that gaggle of cars coming down the front straightaway, led by Alvaro Perent to the inside. Side by side there with Michael Cooper. Cooper putting the pressure on. They've got around Caffer. Now it's Mancinelli and Ribera side by side in the Ferraris exiting turn 1.
Oh, 3 abreast on the exit of the horseshoe for just a moment. Huge battles unfolding after the pit stops here at Virginia International Raceway. Running into traffic on top of it. It is incredibly busy here, and that is Alvaro Perent in the McLaren. And he has just survived to run through some traffic. We had at one point, Cal, exiting the horseshoe, cars 3 abreast.
That was amazing stuff. They've cleared Pierre Caffer. Michael Cooper's gone with him. And behind Caffer now we've got a pair of Ferraris. That's Mancinelli, who had the win here yesterday. Then Riberas. Great stuff. This is awesome stuff. SprintX racing action at its best. Johnny O'Connell there in the mix as well.
Yeah, and Perent was actually behind Cooper at the start-finish line, had a great inside move and was able to make it pay, then used one of the GTS SprintX cars as a little bit of a pick. And Perent...
Mancinelli's got to run. He's coming hard off the Caffer. There he goes. Down Madison Avenue. Mancinelli looking for a move. Caffer holds station in the Magnus Racing Audi.
Dropping down through the roller coaster at this stage. Bleekemolen still shown as the leader. Fuentes would be 2nd overall. Dial, first of the drivers that's pitted, is now sitting in the 3rd spot, as it shows on scoring. Then Cooper, Perent, Pumpelli. I think that's actually Caffer behind the wheel at this stage.
Yeah, I think Bleekemolen just hit pit lane.
Yep.
So next time across the stripe, it is Dial shown as the leader. Perent now in 2nd. This is a battle for 2nd that we're looking at right now, with everyone in the front runners having completed their pit stop.
Boy, Dial, that was a tremendous strategy call, it appears, to keep Morad out for a little bit. Because the margin that they have right now, Cal shows, is almost 12 seconds.
Yeah, they just had clear road. They were rolling the dice. If there was a yellow, that margin would have gone away. It would have backfired tremendously. But they had the track position. Daniel Morad led from the very first corner all the way to his pit stop. Brilliant job by that young man.
Yeah, I think his CV just got a lot more impressive, it did, for Daniel Morad. And Alvaro Perent working his way through those climbing S's. Had a chance to spend a few laps in a video shoot watching Alvaro
drops a wheel,
come through there with nobody else around him, and the speed that these cars are capable of through there with all the downforce, just phenomenal at this stage.
Big rebound for that car as well after yesterday. Massive. They needed a result, and they're getting one right now.
Yeah, particularly impressive. I mean, 2 of the 3 opening rounds of the championship in the sprint, he won. And at the same time, Ryan Dial had some little bit of struggle. So this is big for Parent with only Dial in front of him at this stage. Problem is, he's got some hungry guys behind him in Cooper and Caffer, Mancinelli, Riberas, Johnny O.
Well, Parent's a cool customer.
Isn't he, though?
He is so cool. Really nice young man, but really hungry behind the wheel. Won the championship on his debut season, learning new tracks for the first time. This is another new one for him. K-Pax team tested here last month for a couple of days. So they got some seat time for their new boys. But up front, Ryan Dial and CRP, the DeVilbiss Mercedes AMG GT3 machine, has been on rails here today.
Oh, hasn't it? It has been spectacular. By the way, we've got an interesting little development here in the Pro-Am category. Tim Pappas sitting 11th overall right now in that car. He took over from Jerome Bleekemolen in the 54 Black Swan car. Only a couple of cars back is James Safronis, who took over from Lawrence Vantour in the 14 Global Motorsports Group car. I'm trying to look at the margin between those guys. It's something on the order of 6 seconds. So there might be a good Pro-Am battle that's staging up here. And, of course, Mike Shine not too far behind them in the 16 Wright Motorsports Porsche.
Oh, Mike Shine, what a revelation he's been in the Am class over the last couple of seasons. Just consistent, quick, and getting results.
There is Pappas, and he has taken over from Bleekemolen. He has right now got Ryan Eversley in the number 43 Real-Time Racing Acura NSX GT3 behind him, and then Brian Sellers in the number 6 McLaren from K-Pax, and that car too really had some struggles yesterday.
He had a brilliant start, was up in the top 5 and qualified on the 5th row of the grid, and then Brian suffered a puncture on the first lap. Piece of debris got into the cooling system, and the engine went on a default mode. So for he and Johnny Kane, who ran the second half of the race, the beginning of the race today, couldn't set a representative lap time, like 3 seconds off with that engine in limp mode effectively, and that just buried them on the grid here today. They've got a quick car right now, but it's hard to weave your way through this pack.
There they come up and over the hill there on Madison Avenue and dropping down into the roller coaster. Leading in Pro-Am is the number 54 of Pappas up front. It is Ryan Dial with a large margin in the number 2 DeVilbiss Mercedes over the number 9 K-Pax McLaren 650S of Alvaro Parent. And third, it is Michael Cooper, the number 8 Vector Blue Cadillac. We'll be right back with lots yet to unfold here at VIR. All right, folks, with us here in the web, we'll be with you. We're going to be right back on CBS Sports fairly quickly here. Just to update you, the official race time is about 12.5 minutes remaining, which means that Alvaro Parent would essentially have to come up with about 1.5 seconds a lap.
Yeah,
at this stage to close it down. So
I tell you what, he's going to be a happy boy. I tell you, this weekend was not going well for him, and to rebound with a strong run here, and Pat Long having struggles there with the 58 machine. Obviously, some issues on pit lane, some damage with Bergmeister behind the wheel.
Yep. He just quietly had a very, very strong racer. Is that number 111 Dime Racing Lamborghini, J.D. Davison and Jonathan Somerton. And J.D. Davison behind the wheel right now, who is spectacularly quick, and they've worked their way into the top 10 overall, Cal.
Yeah, it's really a good run for that group because, you know, the program wasn't established at the beginning of the year. Then they showed up at Long Beach with Jonathan Somerton at the last moment. And then this weekend, his co-driver decided to step aside and put J.D. Davison in at the last possible moment. We see a battle here. Mancinelli's made some nice moves. He's got around Caffer's. Now it's Riberas' turn. Thought Riberas would be a little bit quicker in this race. He had a damaged rear diffuser, got a pump from Parent yesterday and struggled with pace. But right now, he should be in good shape.
Folks, we're going to lay out. We're coming right back for our CBS Sports coverage. Fabulous battle unfolding here for the 4th and 5th spot here at Virginia International Raceway. And it is a good one. Pierre Caffer in the Magnus Racing Audi, chased hard by the 61R Ferry Motorsports Ferrari of Riberas. And right behind them, Johnny Red in the Velocity Red Cadillac number 3. But one of the cars we don't see in the frame right now, the 58 Wright Motorsports Porsche of Pat Long and Jörg Bergmeister. Jeff, what's the word from pit lane?
Well, car's been retired. Pat Long pulls it behind the wall. Jörg Bergmeister, a problem you had actually under the caution flag.
Yeah, I was just behind the caddy and just normally driving, really slowly, obviously. And entering turn 1, I really got hit hard from behind from Marco Seefried in the Audi. Apparently, he was watching his steering wheel and didn't even brake, so I used my car to do that.
They always say 8 tires are better than 4, but on a pace lap here, very frustrated down here at Wright Motorsports.
Oh, boy. Well, that certainly explains all the body work.
Completes the picture, because we know that Udell was in a battle with Seefried, and we thought, well, maybe there was a bump. And then once we got back to green flag, that was what loosened his body work up. And no, he got into it with Bergmeister under yellow. So easy to do. You're just thinking about strategy, looking at fuel numbers, getting everything set in the cockpit. You look up and everybody on is stacked up. But for a guy of Seefried's experience, you could tell from Bergmeister's face and language, he was not happy about someone making a mistake behind him. And that is really going to affect Pat Long's championship charge.
Yeah, and I mean, there's nothing worse than getting hit and taken out under caution. I mean, that's just unbelievable.
Well, it's been one of those weekends. I think a lot of things
Yes,
have happened here this weekend, Greg, that it's hard to believe. And we saw a lot of argy-bargy yesterday, and just everyone getting to grips with these rules of the SprintX format. And I think everyone will dust themselves down after this weekend and try and regroup for the next round of the championship, which is another SprintX round north of the border.
By the way, first car in your frame, just flashing through right there, that's your leader in the GT Cup category, and that is the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Huracan from Dream Racing. And not too far behind him is the second place car having a really good run, Corey Friedman in the number 90 Porsche from Autometric. So that's a battle that might be happening.
These guys cannot find a way by Tim Pappas. Tim Pappas leading in Pro-Am after that opening stanza from Jerome Bleekemolen, as Eversley and Sellers right behind him, and they just cannot find a way by. It's really hard to pass around this racetrack, particularly with the strength of that Mercedes. Got to wonder how patient Eversley will be, and he's feeling the heat behind as well. We
also have to wonder about Eversley. He's carrying our iBox suspension cam, and obviously if you need to start getting creative to get around that car, you're going to abuse that suspension even more.
Yeah, you really do. And working beautifully around here. These boys with the real-time crew have really been working overboard in terms of trying to find the sweet spot with this new Acura NSX platform here this weekend. It has not been happy, Carl. All the drivers struggle with it. Made some big changes overnight. Oh, huge crash. That's Johansson involved.
That's Johansson, and it's the 018 K-Sit Racing Porsche. I think it's Mr. Bloom, behind the wheel of that car.
Starting the climbing S's, yes.
That's a significant hit. And I can't see how this is not going to end up with a full course caution at this point, and immediately it does come out. That's that's a significant off.
Just under 8 minutes on the clock as some of the leaders now thread their way through the debris field.
And it is a big one. And so we are going under caution immediately here, so we're going to take advantage. And there's, you can see, looks like Johansson.
Is it Johansson or was that corner work? Hard to tell. I thought it was Johansson jumping out. Hopefully there's good news there. It's a big hit.
So as we're under caution, we're going to take an opportunity here to step away. We'll find out all the stories when we come back here at VIR. All right, folks, on the web here, we're going to just do a quick couple of voices here, so don't worry about what you're hearing. Well, let's go back and take a look at the replay, and wow, that was huge. Welcome back to VIR, everybody, in the Nissan Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix. And you see the Cadillac ATSV pace car out bringing the field down under control, and we're getting a report that we might be seeing the white flag come out. Apparently, they recognize that it may take longer than the amount of time, which is some 6 minutes left in this race, to be able to clean the event or the incident up, Cal, and effect repairs. So we might be ending this one just a little bit early in terms of when that checker comes out.
A lot of safety vehicles out on the course right now, and we understand we're going to be checkers at the end of this lap. Field is led by Ryan Dial, as Alvaro Parent right behind him. Cooper there in the blue Cadillac. Trying to see, that's not Stefan Johansson.
Yeah, there's that's Philip Bloom was in the Kasich car. Looks like he's out. So obviously, with that debris field, with the damage, and I think there might even be a little, what may be an issue here, they may have actually done a little guardrail damage. And when you hit those guardrails and weaken them, you don't want to have cars coming back through again with a weakened guardrail. So that might be part of the issue here as well. So assuming that the checker does indeed come out as we're hearing.
It's right at this part of the racetrack, Greg, where you start to wind up through the snake. And it's so easy if two cars get together to suddenly ricochet off. Get into the fence hard, and fingers crossed both those boys are okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously a big margin built up by the number 2 car, so they're getting the win here. They were, unless something befell them in terms of mechanical or traffic, they were likely going to get the win. But boy, I'll tell you, that Parent, Cooper, Mancinelli, Caffer, Ribeiras battle that had massive potential here. And it's unfortunate that it won't unfold that way, but you have to do what's right in terms of safety, and they're doing exactly that.
O'Connell suddenly hit pit lane, Greg, as we were under caution, so something was amiss on the number 3 car. It's going to cost him dearly in points as he's plummeted down the order. Now shown in the 13th position.
Wow, that's some huge developments here. The Pro-Am category right now, Pappas, who was driving, I think, some of the best driving we've seen him do, keeping the likes of Eversley, Sellers behind him. 10th overall, leading in the Pro-Am category in the car that was started by Bleekemolen. Second is the number 14 Global Motorsports Group Porsche of Safronis and Vantour, and the third car in that class right behind Safronis at this point, Mike Shine in the number 16 Wright Motorsports car that Jan Halen started. Your AM leaders right now, the number 30 Momo NGT Ferrari, you have Tyler McQuarrie, finds themselves 17th overall, leading in that category. The second car, the 007 TRG Adobe Road Winery Aston Martin LaSalle Solutions, big supporters on that car of Chris Wilson. Then you've got your GT Cup leaders, the 55 Lamborghini, that's the Super Trofeo version of the Huracan. Yukari Harata in that car, and Corey Friedman right behind him in the number 90 Autometrics Porsche in GT Cup 1-2. And in GTS, it is Ari Belo in the 019. That's one of the Stephen Cameron racing cars with right behind him Adam Merzon as well. And then, of course, Bloom was right up there, Cal, and then got involved in that incident.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah.
We hate to see a race finish under yellow, but our first concerns is with the drivers involved. But it was a fascinating weekend of racing where we saw a little bit of everything, Greg.
All right, here we go, Cal, coming down, and you never like to see him finish under yellow, but it's absolutely the right thing to do. And that Cadillac ATS-V is going to lead them to the line. And just a great weekend, as it turns out, in this race in particular for CRP and De Vilbius. And how about not, you'd expect what you saw from Ryan Dial, but Daniel Morad, I think, may have been the star of the day.
Yeah, it was a brilliant performance by he to hold on to that lead throughout that opening stanza with the pressure from Jerome Bleekemolen in an identical machine, essentially. That was a great performance by that whole team. They had a good run here yesterday, and Alvaro Pren rebounding nicely.
There's a look at young Daniel Morad. Boy, I'll tell you, I think his resume just got a lot more valuable with the run he just put in. We'll hear from him when we come back to VIR. Yes.
Tom Dyer, yeah. Is there anybody in particular that you'd like to hear from? That nope. Alec. Interesting to find out what happened there, maybe. O'Connell. That was a big thing when he pitted late. Ryan Dial into the pit box here at the Nissan Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix at VIR, and he steps out of the car that was started so brilliantly by Daniel Morad, finished as you would expect from a talent like Ryan Dial. That De Vilbiss CRP Racing Mercedes, absolutely spectacular today. But in terms of the points, a rebound by Alvaro Perez and that number 9 K-Pax car, the McLaren that parks right behind him. Just some special stuff. And for Michael Cooper, being able to come up after the problems they had in that first race yesterday, they rebounded well there, no question about it. But a third today, big moments. You can see the celebrations going on, and I think we're just waiting for the helmet to come off, and we'll get it down to Jeff, who's standing by with Ryan Dial, and I'm sure Daniel Morad is nearby.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. Ryan Dial, razzle dazzle, says it on the helmet, and he did just that. But what a superb drive from Daniel Morad, your co-driver, to start this thing off, and you're able to bring it home, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel said to me last night that I gave him a very easy lead, and he was going to try and repay the favor. And this is for sure his race. It was pretty easy for me, but a little bit of redemption for us after yesterday. But I said on the cool-down lap, you know, for sure, Daniel came into some pretty pressure situation, so did awesome, and glad to get the first win for De Vilbiss and CRP. It wasn't the best first couple of races, so we got our Canadian on board now. We're good to go.
Well, Daniel, superb drive for you as well in that opening stint.
Yeah, first off, I just want to thank the team. They welcomed me with open arms into this program, and Ryan as well. I mean, you can't ask for a better teammate than Ryan Dial. He's a true class act. And the team made a great call on the start of the race. We got lucky because we had a set of out-lap scrub tires that we didn't get to use in practice, so we started unscrubbed, and I was able to pass Jerome on the outside of turn 1, and that was really the key. I just controlled the pace, and I wasn't really racing Jerome, but I knew that if I can keep him as a buffer in between us, then it'd be easier for Ryan. Ryan did tell me yesterday I want a bigger gap than he gave me, so I just had to do that for him.
Well, Daniel Morad got some good momentum here with De Vilbiss going into the next round at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, home race. Boy, yeah, for him especially, that's a great story. And you got to wonder if when Ryan teased him like that, if Daniel didn't look at him and go, hey, I got this. What a drive.
And I tell you what, maybe the secret is right there, the scrub tires. He certainly came alive quickly and was able to get the hammer down right at the beginning of this race.
Yeah, you know, it's those strategy calls. The team plays such a strong element in this, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. I mean, you've got to tick every box. You've got to execute to win one of these races, and they did it absolutely perfectly did it. They rolled the dice by keeping him out there with a clear track.
Yeah, exactly.
But that gave Ryan Dial a 12-second lead, I think you said it was, after he got in the car, so that was superb. But if they'd got a yellow then, it would have gone backwards on them. But those are the things you got to try and play with and try and make the right calls.
And they did that, absolutely. Now let's get down to Jeff again with our second place finisher and a tremendous rebound for that number 9 McLaren.
Well, Greg Creamer just took my line, but a tremendous rebound for you, Abel Parent, and a good opening stint by your teammate.
Definitely turned around from yesterday. What a great job by Ben. Really happy because it's our first race that we're right on the podium, right up there, and let's get a few more, but really happy. Clean first stint. Then my second stint was okay. The race pace was there. We lacked a bit of pace all weekend long, especially in qualifying and turning one good lap in. So we're working on that. And but then the race pace was quite interesting, quite good. Everyone was very similar. It's a great track, and really happy to turn it around from yesterday. Really good result.
Well, Ben, your first time in America. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. So as I've already said, it was a great turnaround from us. Qualifying didn't quite get to plan, and then race one, at the first corner, a small tap, and it cost us a lot. So it was good to start P6, made a good start. I mean, it's only my second ever start in sports cars, so it was pressure was on a little bit, but I managed to get a spot up, and from there on, just hung in fifth. Had to do a bit of fuel saving, which was a bit tricky. Not done that before, but I just did what I could, and then handed it over to Alvaro. Did a great job at the end to get us on P2. So couldn't be happy with my first race in the US.
Well, second start for Ben Barncourt and Alvaro Parent. What a good recovery for yesterday. Second place today overall.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you, we've seen some pretty spectacular drives from a couple of young drivers, Cal.
Yeah, really impressive. And as he said, he had to be in fuel save. I think the K-Pax team a little bit concerned if it went green all the way, even though it's it's an hour now, it's more than 50 minutes. They were going to be a little bit tight. So hate to go into a race like this with the pressure on and have to save fuel, but he did a nice job. Ultimately, with the yellows, wouldn't have needed it, but you got to be on the safe side early on.
Absolutely. And of course, also following what's unfolding in the Pro-Am category, and there, Tim Pappas and Jerome Bleekemolen bringing that beautiful Black Swan Mercedes home with the win, Jeff.
Well, Tim Pappas, congratulations, a Pro-Am win for you, and you had to finish it up over the great run from your teammate.
Yeah, we had really good pace all weekend. I got a little bit bogged down in qualifying, which was tough. So we had a tough day yesterday, had a wheel come loose, and we knew that with pole position today we could get something done. And this guy drove an awesome race, and, I had pace at the end to hold position. Unfortunate to win it under yellow, but we'll take it.
Well, long-time driver pairing for you as well. You guys got the band back together. Great run from you.
Yeah, it's great to be back, and unfortunately a bit of bad luck yesterday, but today totally makes up for it. Perfect day, great drive from Tim. He was really fighting some big names out of the series, so really cool to see that. And anyway, I had a great battle up front in the beginning, so awesome day for us.
Well, great drives and great strategy here. Black Swan Racing, first Pro-Am.
Yeah, they really put it together, and as Jerome said, Tim got out behind the wheel and did a superb job to hang on and bring home the win. Well, we're going to wrap up our coverage here in a global webcast here from the Nissan Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Virginia. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. Do remember that we are going to be back in just a little while with the final race of the Pirelli World Challenge Championships here at Virginia International Raceway, the touring cars. Over 50 of them through 3 classes. It should be a shootout. So make sure you come back and join us for that. Reports are that may be slightly delayed, so just keep checking in with us here on the web, and we'll be back with you soon.